Hi, welcome to Life in a Bottle, Season 2, Episode 53. I'm Kyle, back again this week with another exciting wine that I'm thrilled to share with you guys. So to jump right in, where are we? We are in France. We're in Bordeaux. And most specifically, we are in Grave. This is the 2018 Chateau Auney l'Hermitage Grave Blanc. I want to talk about the estate just a little bit. The estate is owned and has been for a long time by the Auney family, in this case Sylvie and Christian Auney. And they have built this estate from several, I think 10 total, 10 smaller domains that are kind of scattered throughout the forest around where the winery is. And these vineyards were planted by a handful of different farmers over the years in little forest clearings. So they're kind of remote. They're pretty obscure, and it's just kind of cool because I think a lot of estates in Bordeaux are, you think, grandeur, and they're huge estates, and they've been around for centuries. And while this estate has been family owned for several years, these little parcels have kind of been collected from these kind of humble, small farmers. And I think there's a little bit of humility that comes through in this wine, but there's still some really interesting complexity. So just wanted to mention that. Due to the kind of obscure locations of these sites, they've been farmed organically. They were certified organic in 2012, but because they're so far out there, they were never treated with pesticides or fertilizers or chemical herbicides or any of that. Very low intervention, very sustainable farming. No irrigation in these sites, so these 20-year-old vines are sending roots super deep past that clay limestone topsoil and into the gravelly subsoil, where you get all that goodness from within. As far as the grapes are concerned, these vines are about 20 years old that go into this cuvee. Comes from about 5 acres of vineyards that are, again, kind of scattered throughout the woods in a couple of different little forest clearings, which is kind of neat. This wine is composed largely of Semillon, which is normally the grape that plays second fiddle to Sauvignon Blanc in White Bordeaux. This one is 65% Semillon, and then about 20% Muscadel, and then the remaining 15% is made up of a 50-50 split between Sauvignon Blanc and Sauvignon Gris. So it's not without Sauvignon Blanc as you'd expect in a White Bordeaux, but it's certainly not the star of the show, which is, again, pretty cool, a little bit different. As far as winemaking is concerned, they are pressing these grapes all together and then fermenting them together with indigenous naturally occurring yeasts from the vineyards. They're aging the wine once it's been fermented in 400-liter barrels, so great big barrels, and 25% of those are new oak. So there is some oak influence, but not a ton. It's definitely in balance and it's definitely in check. The other thing they're doing to add complexity to this wine is batonnage. So as the wine ages and the yeast cells kind of break apart and fall to the bottom of the barrel, they're stirring those up. So like a Muscadet or a Chablis, it's adding another level of richness and texture to balance that bright, fresh acidity that comes right out of the gate in the wine. To dive into the glass, beautiful crystal clear wine, pale straw, kinda? Just some little flecks of gold and yellow. On the nose, it's just a little bit woolly. It reminds me a little bit of Chenin Blanc from the Loire Valley. So you can smell, I feel like just from the nose, you can tell there's going to be a little bit of richness to it. It's got a little bit of toasty spice. You can tell there's some oak presence, but it's not the first thing you smell. It's behind the fruit, and it's kind of even behind that minerality, that stony mineral. As far as fruit goes, I'm getting green and yellow apple, super fresh, super crisp. Some great citrus there as well, lemon lime, and a little bit of like a tangerine peel. On the palate, the wine is mouth-wateringly fresh. That first sip kind of gets you a little bit. But the texture behind that is super rich and complex. You get the richness from the oak, you get the richness from the lees, and then the grape too. Semillon has its own kind of weight that it carries, its own texture. And if I'm not mistaken, the alcohol is not super high. It's just, I think, right around 13%. So it's not a big, heavy wine, but there's a little bit of richness and a little bit of decadence that kind of comes through because of the way they make the wine. What would I pair this wine with? I think the first thing that comes to mind is a little bit richer seafood, cod, halibut, shrimp, lobster even. would be great with this wine. But there's a little bit of an herbaceous note that kind of gives it a little bit of flexibility as well. I think it'd be great with chicken, especially an herbed roasted chicken. That would be awesome. There's a little bit of earthiness in the way of like a white button mushroom. So anything savory, I think, would go well with this wine. Anything with a good handful of herbs would be great as well. This time of year, some roasted veggies, some pesto maybe. I think that'd be beautiful. There's a lot going on in that glass, and as it warms up, there's even more and more that comes out, so it's super exciting. Let's see if I missed anything. The only thing that I should mention that I have not yet is that the lot that we got to offer to you is the last lot of this vintage that is available through our distributor, Rosenthal Wines. So get while the getting's good. This stuff is absolutely delicious. Christian and Sylvie, cheers. Outstanding work. This is beautiful.